All right, time is 7 o'clock. So let us, by practice, start on time. And I believe that other participants will join due course. Thanks, all of you, for participating the 2 days workshop. And we are pleased to have with us Dr. Ruchika ma'am as a resource person for this workshop. Ma'am had taken earlier also few workshops under the banner of MTC Global, and those were excellent workshops. I'd just like to give a little feedback. And very, very brief profile. I requested ma'am to send a no brief profile. Ma'am sent just 3, 4 sentences. So that's too brief. But anyhow, okay, just to understand that no, all of you know about ma'am. Ma'am earned her doctorate in management from AKTU on the topic self-help groups and close to 20 years of experience in the field of academics. Ma'am has published more than 30 papers in Scopus, UGC, and peer-reviewed journal. And ma'am also having editorship and reviewership of few books in IGI Global. Ma'am, thank you so much for your time and kindly please take over the session. Thank you once again.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. I think the introduction was more than enough. Am I audible, everyone? Sir, is it okay?
Yeah, you're audible, madam.
Okay, fine. So, basically, today's topic is measurement scale. I think because I have asked to sir that what is the profile, those who are attending the session. So, I think most of them are scholars. So, for the scholars especially, this session is going to help them out if they have not still decided the variables and not still decided that how to collect the data when specifically they are looking at specific questions. So I would like to just start by sharing the slide so that we can have few things prior in our mind before talking about specifically measurement of scale. Let me just share my screen. Is it visible, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, fine. Thank you. So before starting about this particular workshop, which is on measurement scales, especially for the PhD scholars, because PhD is all about understanding and observing the variable. You know, generally what happens whenever we talk about a variable, and whenever we ask the students or the scholars, because I am also having many scholars under me, so they have a very specific definition about a variable that which keeps on changing and which is not constant. So like for an example, if I am talking about the income of somebody, so it could be considered as a variable. Now, variable is something which can be easily correlated with the human beings. Let's understand in that way, because there is some kind of personification of a variable too. You know, if I just ask one question to you all, for an example, if I ask you that what you were doing when you were having the age group of 5 years. Anybody else who would like to give the answer of this? Any one of you who remember this thing? That when you were having the age of 5 years? Anyone? I don't think so that anyone will be remembering about this, that what we were doing when we were just having, 5 years of age. And even if I ask you that what you were doing, a few years back, maybe 2 to 3 years back, it will be very difficult for us to remember and recall. So variable, the nature of variable is just like a human being. whenever we decide any variable, we generally talk about how and what is the nature of the variable, how variable interact with other variables to whom which is associated, what is the relationship of that particular variable with others. And whenever we try to observe that, what is the nature of that variable? Is it variable allows us to collect the data on a particular thing? So if I say, for an example, that is it the web slide is visible to everyone? Just wait a minute.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes, ma'am,
madam.
it is visible.
Visible.
Just wait.
And some part of the slide is not visible.
Yes, that's what I'm just making the correction. Just wait a minute. Okay, so let's just see from here only. Actually, whenever we are talking about a variable, we can see that variable can behave like a person. Like for an example, if you see your family, you can see that you are having your father, you are having your mother, you are having your sister, your brother. As soon as we would like to see the behavior of yours towards your father, your mother, your sister, or your brother, in that case, we try to understand that there is, sometimes what happens that your behavior keeps on changing when you come in contact with your father, when you come in contact with your mother, your brother and sister. Variables in social science absolutely behave like this. And whenever we try to have the relationship, whenever we try to see the relationship between the variables, those relationships are called hypothesis. तो बहुत जनरली ऐसा होता है कि अगर हम फॉर एन एग्जाम्पल इफ यू जस्ट see a person who is living in a family and unable to have the relationship with any other member of the family, it's very hard to see and judge whether they are having good relationship or bad relationship, and that's absolutely the nature of a variable. So for an example, if you are able to see that population is one variable and there is another variable which is called crime. If I am going to study the variable population alone, it may be very easy for me to understand because I can easily read this, the article I can read from the newspaper, from various census, from various surveys that, okay, the population keeps on increasing. But as soon as I am going to have the population relationship with another variable called crime, there is something which comes in my mind that is it that there could be so many countries where if the population increases, for an example, the crime also increases. Then if I'm going to read out some other literature and if I'm going to see there is one more variable called education, for an example, and then something comes in between says that there is a relationship between population, education and crime. And then something, pops up in the form of a literature review says there are few countries where the education is less and that's how it is completely in relationship with the crime. So likewise in a family, whenever we are having a brother, a sister, a father and mother, those relationship is just like a hypothesis. And whenever we are going to transform those relationship in terms of variable, those are called hypotheses and assumptions. So when we see from outside that there are 4 to 5 members in the family, and when we see in literature there are 4 to 5 variables, connectivity of those variables are called model. And whenever a new family member comes, what happens? If there are four people in the family, for an example, father, mother, a brother or sister, and family declares that one more member is about to come, that particular member in the form of variable, when you want to add on into the existing study, considered as the gap in the model. So what I mean to say here, there is always some kind of personification of the variables. If you understand the nature of a person, if you understand how person handles its relationship with others, how the person live in the family, and how they behave and treat with the new family member, absolutely, this is the beautification in social science of understanding one variable, relationship of that variable with other variables, whether they are having strong relationship, is there any kind of relationship or not. Whenever we try to create those kind of assumption, this is called hypothesis. And when we try to have a correlation of all those variables, this can be resultant into a conceptual model. And after the literature review, if I am able to see that there is some variable which was never been associated with that particular model, and if I add on, that variable can become a new member, that's how we are able to understand the gap. So measurement scaling, somehow measurement scaling is all about how do you measure the variable? What is the nature of that variable? Like for an example, if I ask you one question that what is your gender? The answer will be either male or a female. This is a kind of dichotomous question, but what is the inference which we can take it from this particular thing? Is there anybody who can tell me that if I am asking a simple one question that, what is your gender? And if you say male or female, what is the maximum inference you can take? If there are 50 sample, there is a sample of 50, and few says they are male and few says they are female. What is the maximum inference I can take it out from this? Anyone? The maximum inference can be that out of 50, 20 may be male and 30 may be female. So how you are going to measure this particular question? This is one variable. This could be one variable in your study, gender. That could become the part of your demographic study. Generally, whenever we conduct the study as a research scholar, you have to understand that there could be so many variables in which your complete study can be divided into two parts. One, which generally talks about the demographic variables, where we want to know the name of the respondent, where we want to know the age, their gender, their income. These are certain things which we are interested, but we are unable to put some kind of formulas into this. For an example, when I ask you what is your gender, and somebody who is saying male and somebody who is saying female, what is the maximum inference I can take it out? I can simply say that, okay, 30% may be male from this particular survey and 70% may be female. So which tool you can analyze, which tool you can put to solve this? Not more than count or not more than percentage. I think these are the two basic tools which can be applied there. Likewise, the measurement scale is talking about the nature of the question, whatever questions you asked in your questionnaire. So when your questionnaire is divided into two parts, maybe section A is talking about demographic questions, section B is talking about many kind of questions that we will see that how the different scales can be there on which the questions could be asked. But before this, we have to understand one thing, which is called, let me just share my screen once again. There is one more thing, which we have to understand, which called nominal, ordinal, ratio, and interval. If we are unable to understand these four things, I don't think so that we will be able to give the answer of any of the question which we are about to ask. What is the meaning of measurement scale? I think on screen you can see three things: question, answer, and inference. Let me just make you understand. The same question I have mentioned over here, that what is your gender? Now, if I'm going to change this question, listen the question carefully. What brand mobile phone you are having? So what is the brand of your mobile phone? For an example, this is my question. Few of you will say that you are having iPhone. Few of you will say you are having Samsung. Few will say Nokia. Few will say Oppo. This will be the answer of the questions asked, that what brand do you have? Now, what can be the maximum inference I can take it out? The maximum inference could be that if I am asking this question to 100 people, maybe out of 100, 20 will say I am having iPhone, 10 will say I am having Samsung, and the remaining may say that they are having Oppo or any other phone. That means the moment I came to know that I can only count and take the percentage, that out of 100, 20% are having the mobile phone on the brand name Samsung, at that particular moment of time, there should be something that has to be click in my mind, that how I am going to measure this question. And based upon the question, answer, and inference, when you decide that what is the way to measure that particular question, is called measurement scale. Let me just make you clear again. You ask one question, somebody gives you the answer, and what inference you can make out of it. Now I'm changing my question little bit again. Now I ask you question, based on the quality, which mobile phone do you refer? Or can you rank the different mobile phones as per the usage? If you have used any of the mobile phones mentioned as a brand, can you tell me that which mobile phone will you keep first at a first rank? Which mobile phone will you keep it at a second rank? Now what will happen? Few people who will start giving the answer, they will give the answer as per one criteria which I have put in between the usage or the quality. Now what is the inference? What inference I can take it out? The inference from here could be that on the basis of the quality, people may be ranking, and they may say on the basis of quality and features, iPhone is number one. On the basis of inference and quality, maybe they can say that Samsung is number two and Nokia is number three. Give me one answer that when I was asking about the gender, male and female, can I say that male is better than female or female is better than male? I don't think so that I can make that inference by asking to anybody that what is your gender, and if the person says male, I can't say that male is better than female or female is better than male. But as soon as I have added on one quality in between, which is called maybe the usage, on the behalf of the usage or on the behalf of the quality of the mobile phone, I can say that Apple is better than Samsung, and then maybe Samsung is better than Nokia. So I think I'm able to make you understand that based upon the question, answer, and the kind of inference which you are taking, in that way you decide that what is the measurement tool and the scale you are going to apply. Now, whenever we are talking about measurement scales, there are four kinds of scales, and the first one is nominal scale. I will not go with the definition. I think there are so many books, which are already available in the market, and they are giving a lot of definitions. But let me just make you understand, because Once we will see all these 4 scales, nominal, ordinal, ratio, and interval, then I'll show you one questionnaire where you will be able to see that what questions you are asking, how to measure that question. Because there is always one thing. For an example, if you are wearing the green glass, and when you see the wall after wearing the green glass, what will be the color of the wall you will be able to see? Green. And if you are wearing red glasses, what will be the color of the wall you will see? Red. Like that, if you are unable to understand that what is the nature of the question which you have asked, on what scale you can measure that question, it will not be possible for you to put the right tool behind it. So to have the understanding of that, after asking the question, what is your gender, what is the scale of this particular question, and which tool you will apply, we have to analyze in that way. And to analyze in that way, we will understand these 4 scales in detail. The first one is nominal scale. See, on the screen, there are 2 questions which are mentioned. The first question is, are you married? And the second question, which has been already asked many times since I have started the presentation, the first question answer will be, when I'm asking to somebody, are you married? The person will reply me, yes or no. Can I make any inference that the married one is more intelligent than the non-married one? Or can I make any inference that the non-married one is more intelligent than the married one? I don't think so. Now, one more example. You must have seen that in cricket teams, every player has a number, and the number is written behind their t-shirt. Few players are given, number 1. There is certain number, which is behind the Dhoni's t-shirt. Some number behind the Sachin Tendulkar's t-shirts too. Can, on the behalf of simply the number which is given to a person just to wear on the t-shirt, can I decide that number 5 is better than number 10? Or number 10 is better than number 5? No. It is just an identifier. It is just an identification. So whenever the questions are asked where you cannot make any inference and you cannot say that someone is better than other, I cannot say that by asking to people that which mobile phone you are having. And if they are saying iPhone, I cannot say that iPhone is better than Samsung. What is your roll number? For an example, if I'm asking you, and if your roll number is 20, I can't say that roll number 20 is better than 19. So any kind of dichotomous questions in which, 2 or 3 options, not absolutely options, but it's a kind of open-ended question. You are asking to people, are you married or not? What is your gender? Which mobile phone you are having? What is your t-shirt number? Okay. Are you earning income or not? What is your income? What is your occupation? For an example, if I'm asking to somebody, what is your occupation? And if somebody is saying that they are in service and the other person is saying they are in business, there is no inference. I can't comment that occupation is their occupation. Business is better than service or service is better than business, unless until I am adding on some syntax into it. So all those questions which are measured in this way, where you cannot make out any inference, rather just an identifier, you can only count or hardly you can make a percentage out of it. Percentage in the sense, if you are taking the sample of people, maybe the sample size is 100, you are asking that are you married, and 20 out of 100 are saying they are married. So we can hardly say that 20% are married. This is the beauty of nominal data scale. Now, the second one is ordinal data scale. Again, when I said that Nominal scale is simply an identifier, nothing else. So most of the time, the kind of demographic questions which we ask to the people, are you married or not? Are you earning or not? What is your gender? All those questions are considered to be nominal. And there is no ranking even at all whenever the questions is asked on a nominal scale. So now if I change the, something in the question by saying that on the behalf of the quality, will you rank the mobile phones? Or if I ask somebody, what is your qualification? For an example, a simple question that, what is your qualification? And if I am giving you two options, one is graduation and second is post-graduation. Suppose there is person A who says that I am graduated. And there is person B who says, I am post-graduated. Can I say that post-graduated person is more qualified than the graduated one? Yes or no? Everyone. I think I can say yes, that post-graduation is more qualified than the graduation one. So there is always a sense of ranking into this. Like if I ask to you, what is your income? And if you say that my income is 10,000 rupees and I'm giving you some options. I'm giving you the option for an example. Just tick between your income is 10 to 20,000, 21 to 30,000, 31 to 40,000, 41 to 50,000, 41 to 50,000. That means if the person chooses the option of 41 to 50,000, can I say that the person who is having the income of 41 to 50,000 is having more income as compared to the one who was having the income of 20 to 30,000? Absolutely yes. And at that particular time, the comparison starts, which was not possible in nominal scale. So what is your qualification? Graduation, non-graduation, post-graduation? What is your income? If I am giving you the option of 10 to 20, 20 to 30, and if on the basis of price, for an example, I say that based on the price, rank the mobile phones. And if you rank, iPhone number 1, Samsung number 2, what is actually happening behind it? Ho kya raha hai? What is happening? I'm trying to provide some kind of comparison and some kind of ranking into this. And as soon as I have provided the ranking, that means I can put my responses into ascending or descending order, which was not possible in the nominal scale. So, is it that when I ask you what is your gender, can I put it in the ascending and descending order? No. I can't say male is above than female, females are above than males. But when I ask you, what is your qualification, graduation or post-graduation, I can put it in ascending or descending order. Right? So, what was happening in nominal? I was just able to have some kind of count or percentage. But what can be done in the ordinal? In the ordinal, I can use the ascending and descending order, and I can use a little bit of, not little bit, absolute ranking and comparison. And there is one more thing. Ordinal scale is also having the feature of nominal one. In ordinal scale, you can also identify how many how many items out of a sample are having the degree of graduation. How many items from the sample are having the degree of post-graduation? As soon as I was able to identify the numbers, that okay, out of 100, 50 are having the degree of graduation and 50 are having the degree of post-graduation. That means this ordinal scale is also having the beauty of nominal scale too. So ordinal gives you the advantage of keeping the data in ascending order, descending order, and also it is having the advantage of nominal too. Now, as we keep on forwarding, there is something which is called interval scale. You know, now there are two words, interval and ratio. Till now, what we have seen, if I am unable to make any kind of ranking, if I am unable to make any kind of comparison, that means only able to count. That means all those questions can be judged on a nominal scale. If I am able to make some kind of ranking, and if I am able to put the data in the ascending, descending order, and able to make some comparison, that means it is a kind of ordinal scale. Now, nominal and ordinal scales are also called non-metric data. There is one more term which is called metric and non-metric. There are no absolute numbers. Whenever you are measuring the nominal and ordinal data, but yes, the interval and ratio scales are measured in terms of numbers. Just let me give you one example of interval scale. For an example, you go into a city and you could see that the city is having a temperature of 10 degree. In another city, the temperature is of 20 degree. And in another city, there is a temperature of 0 degree. Can we have the feature of nominal scale into this question? Yes or no? Anyone? Do we have the feature of nominal scale in this? Can you give me the answer? You can raise your hand. You can write in chat box. I have asked one question, that what is the temperature in one city? There was a temperature of 10 degree. In another city, there was a temperature of 20 degree. In another city, there was a temperature of 0 degree. No, it is having the feature of nominal too. Vijay Narayanji, understand one thing. Are we not able to count that how many cities are having the 10 degree temperature? Vijay Narayanji, are we not able to count that how many cities are having the temperature of 10 degree? Can we count it or not? Yes. As soon as I'm able to count that 10, maybe 12 or 13 cities are there who are having the temperature of 10 degree, it is having the nature of nominal too. Now my second question, listen it carefully and please give me the answer, because then only I will be able to understand whether something is going from my side to you or not. The second thing is, can I make the data in ascending and descending order? 10, 20, 0, 0, 10, 20. Can I make this data in ascending and descending order? Can I make some comparison between 10 degree, 20 degree and 0 degree? You can write in chat box, please. Yes or no? Can I put this data in ascending and descending order? Everyone. 10, 20 and 0. Yes, I can. I can write 0, 10, 20, and I can also write, 20, 10, 0. And I can say that, yes, Payalji, yes, very correct. And I can also say that, that 10 degree, 20 degree and 0 degree, that means, there is a difference of 10 degree between these three. But the interval scale says there is no absolute 0. What is the meaning of absolute 0? Understand this thing first. If I am asking the marks to somebody, for an example, there are 2 to 3 students who are standing in front of me and I'm asking, what is your marks? One student comes to me and says, I'm having 0 marks out of 100. This is absolute 0. That means the person was not able to earn. The person may not have been written anything in the copy. He scored complete 0. But if I say that there is a 0-degree temperature in a city, what is the meaning of this? Is it that there is no temperature? What do you say? 0-degree temperature means no temperature, or it is having some temperature? Not possible. Yes, ma'am. 0-degree temperature does not mean that there is no temperature, but all the data, whatever measured on a Fahrenheit, on centigrade, these kind of data are not having the value of absolute zero. So all those datas which are not having the absolute zero, that kind of data is called to be an interval scale data. So see what has happened here, let me just go back and tell you once again. Nominal means you are just able to put a count, how many married and how many, what is your gender. You can't say that unmarried is better than married or female is better than male. That was the nature of nominal. After reading the question, you should be able to understand on what scale your question should be measured. Because, why we are starting this workshop? Because what happened, even there are so many softwares nowadays, SPSS, MOS, Smart PLS. At the moment we enter the variable in those softwares, we have to write in that software whether the question I'm asking is ordinal, nominal, interval, or ratio. Software will definitely give you the answer. Okay, but I have to be able to understand the right scale behind it. So again, if you are just keeping this as an identifier, this is nominal. If you are able to make some kind of ranking, comparison, keeping it trying to put in ascending or descending order, this is also having the nature of nominal plus ordinal. Why nominal? Because I can tell how many people are graduated. I can at least count it. So it is nominal. And I can also say that graduation is less than post-graduation. So this is also ordinal. Now, interval scale, the values will be in a quantitative form, definitely numerals. But there will be no absolute zero. You can't put any kind of multiply and division into it. You cannot say that 0 degree is absolute zero, or even I cannot say that 20 degrees absolute 2 times more than 10 degree. I can't say this. And I can't say this, that there is no relationship between, there is hardly, when we say 0 degree means there is some temperature. So what I can do, hardly I can make plus and minus here, nothing else. I can't put any kind of correlation, regression, multiplication, division into this data, because this data is not having any value of absolute zero, and that's make this data interval. Now, what will happen if we are having the data which is having the absolute zero? Now, if you see this weight, generally what happens, people weigh, and whenever we ask the people, what is your weight? They will definitely give the answer, maybe 20, 30, 40, 50, 80. But I think I can very well say that 40 kg is just twice of 20. And I can also say that 80 is also twice of 40. Are you getting my point? What I mean to say that? And 80 is 4 times of 20. And 40 is 2 times of 20. That means if there is a value 0, that means there is no weight. Likewise, if I'm asking question to somebody that what is your marks? Somebody who is saying 0, like people work in corporate, they are having their sales reports. I think as a research scholar, you will be collecting data from various companies. Maybe you would like to measure their sales, their revenues. So on what scale you are going to measure the revenues, their sales, their profit and loss? On a ratio scale. Remember this thing. If a company is not earning any amount of money, there is a value of 0. That means 0 means nothing. And the company sales goes negative also. When the expenditures are more, the sales is less. It can go into negative as well. There is always a value of 0 into ratio scale. Now, my questions to all of you, when I'm saying ratio scale, which is having the meaning of absolute 0, does it having the scale feature of nominal too? Anyone? Does this question, that what is your weight, is this question is having the nature of nominal scale too? Yes or no? Is this question having the nature of nominal? Yes, it is having. How many students are having?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, yes.
Yes, Meena Rani ji. This question is also having the beauty or the feature of nominal, because I can always give the answer that how many students are having 80 kg weight, how many students are having 40 kg weight, how many students are having 20 kg weight. One, that means it is nominal. Second, I can also put the same kind of data in a ascending and descending order, 20, 40, 80, 80, 40, 20. That means it is also having the features of ordinal scale. Third, I can also make plus minus into this, that how much weight, is less than B as compared to A. So how much weight, how more A is weighted as compared to B, how more B is weighted as compared to A. But in the ratio scale, as soon as you put the data, you can also give the answer of how many times, which was not possible when we were taking the responses on nominal, ordinal, and interval. Ratio scale has the beauty of giving you the answers of how many times the company sales has increased in last 3 months, how many times the company sales was not cross the threshold value of 2%, 3%, 5%. Whenever we are able to see the data where the data is having the absolute 0, we should immediately understand that we are supposed to measure that data on a ratio scale, right? So now I think we are having some kind of basic knowledge. What is nominal? Nominal is just like an identifier. We can't do anything else except count and percentage. What is ordinal? Ordinal is all about seeing, ordinal is all about seeing that can we put the things into, for an example, into the form of ascending order, descending order, right? Then we are having interval scale, which is not having the absolute 0, and then we are having the ratio scale, which is having the absolute 0, and I can give the answer of how many times. Now, nominal and ordinal scales are called non-metric items too. Remember this thing, you can note it down. I don't believe in writing everything on slide. That makes you more focused on the slide rather than listening. So I just kept it blank here. So anytime, whenever I will share the slides with you all, anytime when you are seeing this slide, you should, recall that nominal and ordinal scales are non-metric in nature. Non-metric means except, ascending, descending, count, and percentage, I can't put any formula of plus, minus, and how many times. This is nominal scale, and that's why they are called non-metric in nature. Remember this thing. What are those non-metric? Non-metric are the questions which are measured on nominal and ordinal scales. And what are the ratio and interval? Ratio and interval scales are the metric scales, which will always give you the answer of plus, minus, and how many times. Okay? Now I'm just showing you one questionnaire. Please have a look on this. Just wait a minute. Just wait a minute. Let me just show you one questionnaire and we will discuss each question to what scale we can measure it. Wait a minute. Yes. See this questionnaire. So, can I just ask you how many of you have prepared the questionnaire yet? If you are a scholar, any one of you who have already prepared the questionnaire and started collecting the data? Anyone? You can unmute yourself and give me the answer. How many of you have started working on the questionnaire? Any one of you?
I have made, ma'am, for research paper.
Okay. So, yes, ma'am, you were saying something? Payalji, just unmute yourself and just tell me one thing. When you have prepared the questionnaire, did you keep in mind that on what scale you will measure the questions of the questionnaire?
Ma'am, I took help of my guide and I was not so aware of scales. So I took help in analyzing the data later.
Okay,
So I just prepared the questionnaire with the help, and the analysis part was, I got help from my guide.
But having little bit idea of measuring the questions on an ordinal scale, ratio, and interval scale?
Little bit, ma'am.
Okay. So any doubt till now, Payalji?
It was the first time that I made questionnaire, and I got a help from my guide, to analyze the data, and they gave and they just explained me accordingly.
Okay, fine. Okay, let me just share one questionnaire with you all. If you see this questionnaire, because that will help you to understand, and I think you should give me the answer now. You can unmute yourself, and then only we will be able to understand, whether this thing is going in clarity or not. The questionnaire is prepared for collecting the data from all those customers who have used the omni-channel, basically, regarding the omni-channel retailership. This question is asked. If you see the first question of, this is the questionnaire section A. If you see the first question related to socio-demographic factors, please specify your age. What do you think on what scale this question can be measured? Anyone? Please unmute yourself and give me the answer. On what scale the first question should be measured? Nominal, ordinal, interval, or ratio?
Ma'am, it's an ordinal scale, ma'am. Ordinal.
Nominal and ordinal.
It's actually, listen one thing. When we are saying ordinal, it is automatically having the feature of nominal. In that way, I tried to make you understand.
Yeah.
Right? When I'm saying interval, it is already having a feature of ordinal and nominal. So somebody who is saying ordinal, it is correct. So can you tell me why you are saying this is ordinal? Any specific reason behind it?
Because it was in ascending order, ma'am.
Right. Because you can keep the answers in an ascending or descending order. Right. Thank you. What is the second one? Please specify your gender. Again, anyone can unmute and just tell me the answer. On what scale you can measure this? The second one, on what scale you can measure this? Nominal, ordinal, ratio?
Only nominal. Only nominal, ma'am.
Truly nominal, because we cannot make any kind of comparison that female is better. We can only count that how many males have been participated in the questionnaire in this sample survey on how many females. Very good. What is the third one? Please specify your qualification. Now, anybody who would like to give a chance to this, what kind of scale you would like to measure this on it? Anyone? Please give a try, whether it is nominal or ordinal.
Be both ordinal and nominal.
Ma'am, again, listen one thing. Again, there is one confusion, I think. Ma'am, can I put this question into an ascending or descending order? Can I say that doctorate is the highly qualified, postgraduate is qualified more than the undergraduate is qualified who is not graduate, even more qualified than the one who is not graduate? Can I say this? Can I say this, ma'am? Doctorate is the one who is the highly qualified. I can say this.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Ma'am, at the moment I started saying this, that doctorate is more qualified than the postgraduate. Postgraduate is more qualified than the undergraduate. Remember this thing, this is ordinal. As I said to you, ordinal is also having a nature of nominal. So we are not supposed to give the answer that it is nominal as well as ordinal. Make it as simple as that. If I am saying something that it is ratio is already having a feature of nominal ordinal interval. If I am saying something is ordinal, it is already having a feature of nominal. So as soon as I am able to keep this data on ascending and descending order, and I can make some inference. What inference I can make? I can make an inference. Doctorate is more qualified than the postgraduate. I think that's clear. That is why it is on ordinal scale. The fourth one, please specify your occupation. What is that? The one who have not tried, जिसने अभी तक try नहीं किया है, just try this. Please specify your occupation. Business or service? On what scale you will measure this? Okay, those who have tried, they can also give the answer. Otherwise, yes. Anyone else? बताइए.
Nominal.
Nominal. Ma'am, आपने nominal बोला. Can you please give me the reason why it is nominal, please?
Yeah, in our discussion, you just mentioned a while ago that we cannot say whether business is better than service or vice versa.
Yes. So because we can't make any comparison, so that is why we can only simply count it. So it is just a nominal. Okay. So the next one is frequency of shopping by omni-channel in last 3 months. Once, twice, thrice, between 3 to 6 times, between 6 to 10 times, and more than 10 times. On what scale you will measure this? Anyone? Just see this question carefully and give me the answer. On what scale we can measure this? Yes, anyone? या विजय नारायण जी, मीना जी, आप में से कोई एक आंसर दीजिए, मुझे पता लगे आपको क्या. What do you think?
Ratio looks like ratio, ma'am.
How ratio? What quantitative number are you able to see, like between 3 to 6 times? That is why you are saying?
Not, ma'am, but there is a possibility for absolute zero also. 0 times also would have been possible. Only that option we have not given. So wherever absolute zero is possible, that is a ratio scale.
Okay, fine. So even
No,
you
ma'am,
can.
it looks ordinal to me
Okay, why?
because I can. It's in order that is from lower to the higher order. So that is one, and I can count like how many times once, how many times twice, how many times between 3 to 6 times. So it possesses the characteristic of the ascending order. So I thought this is more of ordinal in nature.
Yes, very correct. Very correct. This is absolutely ordinal in nature. We can only keep this data in ascending or descending order. And it's very hard, whenever you are getting those responses. For an example, if somebody is saying between 3 to 6. So between 3 to 6, no number is sure. But 3 to 6 could be like 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, 5.8, like how many times? So it is not sure. So when the data is mentioned once, twice, thrice, I can make an inference that thrice means the person is shopping more than the one who is just shopping twice. 6 to 10 times means the person is able to shop more than the person who is shopping 3 to 6 times. So this is the maximum inference that could be taken out. That is why this question is having a measurement scale of ordinal in nature. Okay. Now, just come on to the B part. Most of the time, and when I was a researcher also, my guide has said me, like, I have completed my PhD, 10 years back. At that time, at that particular time, there was something in air, and that was Likert scale. It was very much in the air, and even nowadays, we taught to the students that the answers could be measured on so many scales. Tomorrow, I will be telling you that there are some easier scales that can be used as a part of your questionnaire too. So when you see this kind of question, and SPSS, which is statistical package for social science, and which is very famous tool, to upload the data which we are collecting on a Likert. Whenever you are making the entry of this kind of question on SPSS, what do you think? Which scale do you use, nominal or ordinal? Likert is measured on what scale? ये बताइए, just give me the answer. Can you see this question, everyone? Five
Ordinal,
strongly. Five strongly. Yes, ordinal. Very well said, ma'am. Let me just explain to others also. Like when you see this, five strongly agree, four agree, three neutral, two disagree, one strongly agree. We can make some kind of ranking in between 1 to 5. The rank is going between 1 to 5. And we can also put the opinion in one manner, either 1 to 5 or 5 to 1. So whenever we are able to make some kind of comparison, we are able to keep this data in ascending and descending order. So it is said that Likert scale, there is again a difference between Likert scale and Likert type scale. So we will talk about it later on, maybe tomorrow. There is always a difference between Likert and Likert type. This is purely a Likert scale where the comparison and the data could be put in the form of 1 to 5 or 5 to 1, and that's how this data is to be measured on an ordinal scale. So I think till here my purpose is completely fulfilled. I was able to justify with that what is nominal, what is ordinal, what is interval, and what is ratio scale. Now, the next part which comes here is that if you are able to understand the inferences and if you are able to understand the nature of the question, whether it is nominal or ordinal, what kind of tool should be applied here? Whenever we go with univariate analysis, bivariate analysis, and multivariate analysis, we do have some kind of metric and non-metric scale data into this. And then we decide that which tool to be applied. So for an example, if somebody is saying regression, linear regression, madam, it should be used. Or somebody says discriminant analysis should be used. Or somebody says binary regression should be used. On what basis I will decide that in place of linear, it should be binary regression, or in place of binary regression, it should be multivariate? There are three things which you can see on the screen: univariate, bivariate, and multivariate. I will just ask you one question, and that will make myself clear that you have the clear understanding of univariate, bivariate, and multivariate. I'm just typing, one question on the screen just now. You tell me, please, whether this is univariate or bivariate, please. Just wait a minute. Yes. Anybody who can give me the answer? Is this a univariate or a bivariate study? Please, anybody.
It is a bivariate because
Why,
it
sir?
speaks about one is the crime, the other one is the poverty. There are two variables which are
Sir,
studied here.
anybody else? Anybody else? Please, anybody else? Give a try. This is not a correct answer. Anyone who would like to give a try to this question? Is it the bivariate or univariate study?
Can you please read the question, ma'am? I'm joining through
Just
mobile. I have
see.
some issue with laptop. Can you
Okay.
read the question?
Can you see the question, ma'am? Is it the screen is visible?
Screen is, but through mobile it is very small font.
Or
I'm
can you
not
see
able to
this?
make out.
Can you see this now?
1 second, I'll just try to make out.
I'm just reading the question, ma'am. You can listen it also. To
Okay.
study the crime and poverty in North India in the last 5 years. Ma'am, what kind of analysis is it? Univariate or bivariate? My question
Ma'am,
is
it's a univariant analysis.
how, ma'am?
Ma'am, because it is about one is dependent and the other one is the independent variable on which we are trying to study.
One is dependent and another one is independent, you are saying.
Yeah, ma'am, like we are trying to study that what is the effect of crime on poverty.
No, I
Like,
didn't say that. I said to study the crime and poverty, not
yes,
on
ma'am.
poverty.
So, ma'am, it is again only a univariant. It is not a bivariant.
Why then? Why univariate, ma'am?
Ma'am, because we are studying the variable, this crime and poverty as a variant on of in North. Ma'am, actually, the sentence is not clear. North India.
Okay,
We are taking a study on North India with a
okay, fine,
combination of
fine,
crime and poverty.
fine, ma'am. Let me just define and explain to everybody who is just seeing the slide. Please look at here. I'm just going to divide this sentence in two parts. Please look at here carefully. Okay. I have divided this statement into two parts. I think you are able to see this. I have divided this statement into two parts to study the crime in North India in last 5 years and to study the poverty in North India in last 5 years. What is the meaning of and here in this? Is establishing any kind of relationship between crime and poverty, everyone? Is and creating any kind of relationship between crime and poverty? Please, everyone,
No,
give me
ma'am.
the answer.
No,
No.
ma'am. No.
No.
So what I have done, I have simply divided the statement into two parts. That means I am studying crime specifically and I am studying poverty specifically too. What is the relationship between these two, crime and poverty? Is this statement mentioning any kind of relationship between these two?
No.
So when I have divided this statement into these two statements, to study the crime in North India, to study the poverty in North India, I am studying these variables individually. I am studying crime individually in North India as well as poverty individually in North India. So what do you say now? Is it univariate or bivariate? Please give me the answer. What do you say now? Is it univariate or bivariate?
Univariate, ma'am.
Univariate. Correctly said. Now, very well said. Now, understand, I'm just making one more statement. Please see this now, this time. To study the impact of crime on poverty in North India. Now, what is the meaning of this statement? What is independent variable and what is dependent variable in this study now? To study the impact of crime and poverty. Please.
Impact of crime is the independent variable and poverty is the dependent variable.
Very well said. That means I'm trying to see the impact and the relationship. That means change in one variable will impact the change in another variable. Is it?
Yes, ma'am.
Is it? Change in one variable will impact the change in another variable or not?
Yes,
Am I
it's change.
audible? Yes. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So what do you say now? This is how many variables I am studying into this? 2 variables, and I'm trying to check the relationship between these 2 variables. There is one variable which is independent. There is another variable which is dependent. So what do you say? Is it univariate study or a bivariate study? Please, everyone.
Bivariable.
Bivariate study. And if I say this now, for an example, if I say that to study the impact of crime and education on poverty, what kind of study is this now? Univariate, bivariate, or multivariate?
Multivariable.
Yes. So, whenever we go for the different tools, that whether my variable is metric variable, my variable is non-metric variable, before deciding any tool, which tool will go with the analysis, I should be able to understand that what kind of analysis I am doing. Most of the time we are able to frame the objective of our study, and then we are trying to put the regression behind it. Like for an example, if I'm objective of my study is to study the customer satisfaction and preferences towards a mobile phone, what hypothesis we generally make? There is a relationship between customer satisfaction and preferences. There is no relationship between customer preferences and relationship. We are not supposed to do that. We are just about to study, because we are using one word in between, which is called and. If I'm really interested to check the regression, I have to reframe my statement in a way that to analyze the relationship, to study the impact, to check the relationship. So these are some kind of words that should be used. Then only your univariate study will convert into a bivariate, and we can see that there are few independent variables and dependent variables. When I said to you that to study the impact of crime and education, these were 2 specific individual variables. There was no independent and dependent variable into this study. So when there is no independent and dependent variable into the study, why will you run the regression behind it? What is the change in one variable which is giving impact to the another? So no need to run regression into this. You can only check the crime rate in North India, and you can easily find the causes and reasons behind it, maybe with the help of literature review. Or if you really want to set up some kind of analysis, find out some other family members of crime with whom you would like to check the relationship. So now, after seeing this, I just want to tell few things to you. I think you are able to understand univariate analysis. Univariate analysis is simply talking about one variable. And that one variable can be metric, and that one variable could be non-metric too. So if my question is that to know the weight and height of the students aging between 9 to 14, This is the objective of my study. So when I am taking the weight and height, this will come into the numbers and I can apply plus, minus, ascending, descending identifier how many times. That means this is on the scale of metric. So if there is one variable which is known on the scale of ratio and interval, which tools you can apply? Mean, median, and t-test. These are some kind of very basic tools, which can be applied when the data is univariate. And when the data is non-metric. Non-metric is what? I gave you the example, like what is your gender? What is your occupation? This is measured on the scale of nominal and even the kind of ordinal except SPSS. This software has the beauty to analyze all the data which is collected on the Likert scale. Otherwise, the nominal and ordinal responses are to be considered for the count and percentage, hardly putting it on ascending and descending order. So when you are having one variable, and that if that variable is metric, you can go with mean, median, and t-test. And when you are having one variable which is non-metric means, again, recall, nominal, ordinal, metric means what? Interval and ratio. So for the non-metric, the solutions could be count and percentage. Now, second one. This is all about bivariate analysis, in which we are having one variable which is independent and the another variable is dependent. Right. So at above, I think it's very much clear that dependent variables, and at the left hand side, there are independent variables. So if you see first correlation, the first one, if your independent variable is metric and dependent variable is also metric, remember this. That means what? Both the variables are collected on a scale of interval and ratio. I will take most of the time the examples of ratio. So when you are able to, collect the data of both the variables, so if I say that to study the number of hours of sleep on to the performance in the marks of class 12 student, to study the number of hours of sleep on to the performance in terms of marks of class 2 students, class 12 students. So number of hours of sleep is again in numerical form, ratio. And the marks which a student is attaining is again in numeral form, again ratio. These two will be metric. And I want to check the relationship between number of hours to sleep and the performance in class 12. That means what is the formula or what is the tool I can apply here? Correlation. I'm saying this again. There is a statement, there is an objective of my study that to study the price and demand. For an example, in economics, there is a very simple law of demand. What is that law of demand? That there is a inverse relationship between price and demand. We can mention price in numbers and we can also mention demand in numbers. So both these variables will be considered as a metric. Price is also metric and demand is also metric and on a ratio scale. So if my dependent and independent factor both are metric, we can apply the tool of correlation. Now, moving forward, if I am having my independent factor is metric and dependent factor is non-metric, like I'm taking one example. To check the impact of price on the customer satisfaction. To check the impact of price. Price is measured on a ratio scale, 5, 10, 15, 20 rupees. Customer preferences are measured on a Likert scale, highly satisfied, satisfied, neutral, not satisfied, dissatisfied, or highly dissatisfied. So this is a ordinal scale. That means your independent variable is metric and dependent variable is non-metric. You are checking the impact of price on the customer satisfaction. So whenever you are not having the data on a continuous basis, the data is completely categorical. Dependent variable is categorical. You do not have the data in continuation. There is no continuous data. Then don't run linear regression. It's suggested to run binary regression and binary logistics. So these are two kind of, regression and logistics tools which are made to measure the impact of non-metric data when it is dependent variable. The third one is non-metric independent and metric dependent. Can any one of you give me any example of when your independent variable is non-metric and dependent variable is metric? Any statement, any objective? Please use any of the hypothetical example where your objective says there is one independent variable which is non-metric and dependent variable is metric. Any one of you, please. Yes, any one of you? Okay, fine. Okay, let me tell you. My question is that your independent variable is non-metric and your dependent variable is metric. Okay, so if I study that, to study the impact of gender on the increments in an organization, impact of gender on an increments in the organization. Gender is what? Non-metric data, and improvement or increment in salaries is a metric data which you can collect on a ratio scale. So when you are checking the impact of gender on the salaries increment, your independent factor is non-metric, which is gender, maybe nominal, and your dependent factor is metric, again, that is on a ratio scale. Salaries, you can take in numbers. So which tool you can apply here? T-test or one-way ANOVA. Generally, this is used with the help of hypothesis testing too. So in most of the time, even when I have done my PhD is on self-help groups, and my hypothesis testing was based upon my independent factor was non-metric and my dependent factor was metric. I was just seeing, the gender, impact of gender on the self-help group revenue performance. Because 99% self-help groups are female based. So if there is one or two groups which was of male, they were earning much more as compared to the female self-help groups. So there were few studies which were meant at that time in my PhD, where my independent factor was gender and dependent factor was the revenues, the salaries, the benefits. And in that case, the tool which you can apply is a hypothesis testing. That means t-test or one-way ANOVA. Mankova or Manova will not work here because those will be used when you have to analyze covariance or you are having multi-variables with you. Now the last one, when the both variables are non-metric in nature. So if I am saying that to check the impact of gender on the, for an example, lifelong learning satisfaction. So continuous advancement of learning, to check the impact of gender on continuous advancement on learning. So if I am taking, gender again on a nominal scale and continuous advancement of learning on a Likert scale, both will be considered as a non-metric. So when both of the variables, independent and dependent, are of nominal and ordinal scale, it's better to go with chi-square test. And if you can recall now, there are so many studies where both kind of variables are non-metric, even metric, and we try to go with chi-square test. कई बार हमने किया होगा ऐसा. We are having the data on metric and we have used chi-square test. So chi-square test will give you the result better if both independent and dependent variables are non-metric. Otherwise, it's up to you. If you will give some values to SPSS, that will obviously generate some results. It will never happen that if you will ask SPSS to run hypothesis testing on any kind of metric or non-metric dependent independent variable, that it will not generate result. It will generate result. But if you are having the understanding of scales, univariate and bivariate analysis, it will be easier for you to put the tool and have the justification for it. Now, the third one is multivariate analysis. Multivariate analysis is something where we are having more than one independent variable, but always try to keep your study in which dependent variables are less and limited to one. So you can have more than one independent variables, but their impact should be checked upon one dependent variable only. And that makes the study more sound. So when I'm saying that, to check the impact of poverty, education, crime on the GDP, for an example. So I can even measure poverty, education, and crime in numbers, and GDP is also in numbers. That means my all variables, dependent and dependent, are metric. Up, if you can see the first column, all independent variables are metric and dependent variables are also metric. In that case, you can run multiple regression. So likewise, based upon what is the kind of scale which you are having, what is the kind of study, whether it is univariate, bivariate, or multivariate, you should go with these kind of formulas and statistical tools. Putting wrong statistical tool will definitely give you the result, but that not be the right justification for the study on which you are doing your PhD, doctorate. So always try to go into the depth of understanding of the different nature of the variables. Then see the statements and the objectives. How many variables are there? 1, 2, or 3? What is the nature of dependent variable? What is the nature of independent variable? And then go and choose the different statistical tools. So we are just left with 7 minutes. I just want to take some queries now. What is your understanding about this topic? You want to say anything? You want to ask anything to me? Those who have joined initially, they were able to understand all 4 kind of nominals, ordinal, ratio, interval. What is the nature? Okay. Thank you, Vijay Narayanji. Any one of you, if you are having any question, you can ask me now. Anyone? So is it clear to all of you what is, after seeing the question, will you all be able to understand what is the nature of the question, whether it is nominal, ordinal, ratio, or scale? Yes, Payal ji, Meena ji, Shalika ji, Prateek ji, is it clear now after seeing the question? Will you be able to understand? Okay, okay, fine. And I think it's now clear to univariate, bivariate, and multivariate analysis. So in a nutshell, what I want to say that before and after preparing the questionnaire, see each question. Let me just wind it up. If you are able to identify the numbers and just put a count on it, not more than the count, it is a nominal nature. If you are able to keep the answers in a ascending, descending order, on a rank, or maybe on a comparison, this is ordinal. If the results are having absolute 0, this is ratio. If the results are having no absolute 0, this is interval. I have given you many examples of understanding univariate because till now, many of you will go back and see the objective of your study and you will see that many times your study was univariate, but you must have been put the regression tool. So see what statements and what words you have used in between. If you have used and multiple times in a statement, This is not a bivariate study. This is univariate in nature. So it's like worthless to go with for the regression. Don't go with the regression. Just simply analyze or try to find out other family members, as we have started with the family. Variables are just like a human being. If you will not find their relationship with other variables, you will not be able to frame the hypothesis or conceptual model behind it. So if you have anything to ask, you can. Otherwise, Bholanathji, I think I can wind up the session now. If sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Sir, you want to say something, or should I
Yeah. No. Nothing like that. Just thank you so much, ma'am. It's a formally just close the today's part, and thank you for sharing insights on the topic. And I'm sure that it is beneficial to all the participants. And looking forward for tomorrow's session, ma'am.
Okay. One more thing. I will be just sharing the slides and few questions. Like if specifically you want to see something. Yes, ma'am. Pile, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, would you also share the slides today, the PPT that you have shared?
Yes, surely, ma'am. And one request to all the participants: if something in relation to this, I would have to be covered like for tomorrow, because I'm having some other plans to tell some kind of measurement scales on what behalf the questionnaire can be prepared. But if anything other that if you people want to seek from this measurement scale, you can ask in the group and I will add on that part in my PPT.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.